This is the first of 3 videos in which I'm going to demonstrate setting up a 2-tiered certification authority with a standalone root certification authority and an enterprise subordinate certification authority. In this part I'm going to add the Active Directory Certificate Services role to my standalone root CA. I'm then going to add a CRL distribution point and configure the publishing interval for the root CA. I'm then going to export the root CA's certificate and distribute it to my domain join clients via a group policy as a trusted root certification authority. For this demonstration I've set up 3 virtual machines running in Hyper-V. I have a domain controller. It's a domain controller for a domain called harkit.co. I also have a member server, which is a member of the harkit.co domain. And then I've built a standalone machine called root CA, which is in a work group environment. And this first part of the demonstration is going to be focused primarily on this root CA. So to create my standalone root certification authority, I'm going to add the Active Directory Certificate Services role to this machine. As a service, it has a number of sub roles. The only thing I need to actually install on this particular computer though is the certification authority itself. Most of this server's life is going to be spent offline, so switched off, so clients are not going to need to be able to visit the web enrollment tool, for instance. So I'm just going to click next and let that installation complete. Now that's completed, I'm going to configure the Active Directory Certificate Services on the server, running that as the local administrator, and it's just the certification authority that I'm configuring. Now the option to make it enterprise is grayed out because this is a standalone machine, it's not a domain join computer, and this is going to be my root certification authority. I'm going to create a new private key. I'm going to accept the default key length and hashing algorithm. I'm going to call this just root CA with a distinguished name suffix of DC equals Harkit, DC equals co. I'm going to make it valid for 5 years, accept the default location for the database and log files. I'm going to let it complete its configuration. So I now have a functioning root certification authority. If I load the CA administrative console, you can see the root CA listed there. In the next demonstration I'm going to be showing configuring a subordinate certification authority, but before I do that I'm going to make a couple of changes to this root certification authority. First of all, I'm going to specify a location where a certificate revocation list is going to be published. I'm going to point that at what's going to be my member server, which is going to be my subordinate CA. And I'm going to create a certificate revocation list on that server, which I'm going to publish from this machine before I take it offline. So I'm going to locate the CRL distribution point on my member server. I'm going to click OK there. I'm going to say I want to include this in the CDP extension of any issued certificates from this CA. So from now on, any certificates that I issue from the certification authority will include that as a URL where users can obtain the certificate revocation list for my root CA. That will restart the service, and what I'm then going to do is 2 things. First of all, on the properties of where it says revoke certificates, I'm going to change the CRL publication interval to 12 months, and I'm also going to publish a certificate revocation list. That certificate revocation list will then be copied across to my subordinate CA so that users can query it to make sure that certificates that have been issued by the root certification authority haven't been revoked. If I look in the C Windows System32 CertServe CertEnroll folder, there is the certificate revocation list that I've just published. I'm just going to copy that certificate onto my desktop. I'm also going to export the certificate of my root certification authority onto my desktop as well, and I'm then going to use group policy to push this out as a trusted root certification authority to all the clients within my domain. So finally, I'm going to copy the root CA certificate to my domain controller, and then in my default domain policy I'm going to add that as a trusted root certification authority. So if I expand my public key policy under computer configuration and select trusted root certification authorities, I can import that certificate as a trusted root CA. This now means the client machines in my Active Directory environment will trust the root certification authority. In the next part of this demonstration, I'll be demonstrating how to set up the subordinate CA and also to configure the CRL distribution point.